Did you know that depression affects over 264 million people worldwide? Yes, it's an unseen epidemic. Pause for a moment and let that sink in. More than 250 million men, women and children across the globe are battling this unseen adversary. It doesn't discriminate by race, age or nationality. It's an enemy that many of us share, yet it's often overlooked and misunderstood. Depression isn't just feeling sad or down in the dumps. It's a persistent feeling of sadness, hopelessness and loss of interest that interferes with your daily life. It's like a heavy cloud that hangs over your head, making even the simplest tasks feel like climbing a mountain. And here's the kicker. Many people who are facing this battle don't even know they're fighting it. They chalk it up to just feeling off or having a bad day. But when those bad days turn into bad weeks, bad months or even bad years, it's no longer just a case of the blues. It's a serious mental health issue that needs attention. Now, let's get something straight. Depression is not a sign of weakness. It's not something you can just snap out of or get over. It's a real medical condition that requires professional help. And just like any other illness, the first step towards recovery is recognizing the symptoms and seeking help. The widespread nature and seriousness of depression are often underestimated. That's why it's so crucial to educate ourselves and others about it. Understanding and recognizing the signs of depression is the first step towards combating this unseen epidemic. It's time to bring this issue out of the shadows and into the light. The good news? Depression is treatable. With the right help and support, people can recover and lead fulfilling lives. But it all starts with awareness. It starts with understanding. And most importantly, it starts with compassion and empathy for those who are struggling. If you're surprised by these numbers, you're not alone. Many people underestimate the scale of this mental health issue. But together, we can change that. Let's start the conversation about depression. Let's make the unseen seen. Depression is a common but serious mood disorder. It's not just feeling down or sad. Depression goes beyond the occasional blues or a bad day. It's a persistent feeling of sadness, hopelessness, or a lack of interest in things you once enjoyed. It's like a dark cloud that hovers over you, affecting every aspect of your life. Now let's delve into the biological aspects of depression. Our brains are intricate networks of neurons sending signals to each other through chemicals called neurotransmitters. In depression, the balance of these neurotransmitters is disrupted, especially those responsible for mood regulation like serotonin, dopamine and norepinephrine. This chemical imbalance can lead to changes in how we think, feel and behave. But depression isn't only a biological condition. There's a psychological facet to it as well. It's linked to negative thought patterns and a skewed perception of oneself and the world around. A person with depression might see everything through a lens of negativity, feel unworthy, or have a heightened sense of guilt. Depression also has a social aspect. Our relationships, work environment and socioeconomic status can influence our mental health. Chronic stress, isolation or traumatic life events can trigger or worsen depression. And here's something fascinating. Depression can even manifest physically. It can lead to changes in appetite, sleep patterns and energy levels. Some people with depression may experience unexplained aches and pains. But here's the good news. Understanding depression is key to fighting it. Knowledge empowers us. It helps us recognize the signs, seek help, and support those around us who might be struggling. Remember, depression is not a sign of weakness or something to be ashamed of. It's a medical condition, just like diabetes or heart disease. And just like these conditions, it can be managed with the right treatment and support. So, let's shatter the stigma around mental health. Let's talk about it, understand it, and tackle it together, because no one should have to face depression alone. Depression is complex, but understanding it is the first step towards combating it. Now, let's talk about the signs and symptoms of depression. Depression can be a bit of a chameleon, often masquerading as ordinary ups and downs of life. But it's when these feelings persist and start interfering with your daily life, that's when it becomes a concern. One of the most common symptoms of depression is a persistent feeling of sadness. This isn't just a case of the Monday blues, it's a constant, unshakable feeling that lingers for weeks, even months. Alongside this, There's often a loss of interest or pleasure in activities that were once enjoyed, the hobbies that used to bring joy, the get-togethers with friends that used to be the highlight of your week. They just don't do it for you anymore. It's as if the colour has been drained from your world, leaving everything in shades of grey. The physical toll it takes can't be ignored either. Fatigue is a common symptom. It's not just being tired. It's an all-encompassing exhaustion that makes even the simplest tasks seem like climbing a mountain. You might find yourself sleeping too much or too little. Changes in sleep patterns are a common symptom, with insomnia or excessive sleeping often reported. This isn't just about hitting the snooze button one too many times. It's about being unable to fall asleep or waking up in the early hours of the morning, unable to get back to sleep. And then there's the feelings of worthlessness. These can be some of the most damaging symptoms of depression. It's a constant nagging voice in the back of your head telling you that you're not good enough, that you're a failure, that you're not worthy of love or happiness. It can lead to guilt over perceived failures or mistakes, and it can be incredibly difficult to silence that voice. But these are just some of the signs and symptoms of depression. Others might include difficulty concentrating or making decisions, changes in appetite leading to significant weight loss or gain, physical aches and pains without a clear physical cause, or thoughts of death or suicide. It's important to note that not everyone with depression will experience all of these symptoms, and their severity can vary from person to person. Depression is not a sign of weakness. It's not something that can be overcome with willpower alone. It's a serious mental health condition that requires understanding and treatment. If you or someone you know is experiencing these symptoms, it's important to reach out to a healthcare professional. Depression can be a silent battle, but it's a battle that doesn't have to be faced alone. There are resources available, professionals who can help, and treatments that can make a difference. It all starts with recognizing the signs and symptoms and taking that first step towards getting help. Recognizing these symptoms in oneself or others is crucial for getting help. Depression does not discriminate. It can affect anyone, regardless of their age, gender, or background. Let's delve into the complexities of depression across different groups, shall we? Depression, like many other mental health conditions, is known to manifest differently across various demographics. It's a bit like a chameleon, changing its appearance based on its surroundings. Take men and women, for example. The societal norms and expectations placed on both genders can significantly influence how depression is expressed and experienced. Women are twice as likely as men to be diagnosed with depression. However, this doesn't necessarily mean men are less prone to depression. It's just that their symptoms often look different. Men with depression might not exhibit the classic signs such as feelings of sadness or hopelessness. Instead, they might appear angry or irritable. They could also engage in risky behavior or abuse substances. This behavioral camouflage often leads to men's depression going undiagnosed, which can have detrimental effects on their health and well-being. On the other hand, women might be more likely to experience feelings of guilt, worthlessness, and sadness. They may also have a higher likelihood of experiencing seasonal affective disorder, a type of depression linked to changes in seasons. Now let's consider age. Depression in teenagers can often be mistaken for typical teenage moodiness. However, it's essential to recognize that depressive symptoms in adolescents can be just as severe and debilitating as in adults. Teenagers might exhibit symptoms of depression through irritability, social withdrawal, a drop in school performance, or changes in eating and sleeping patterns. They might also be more prone to self-harm or suicidal thoughts, making it crucial to take any signs seriously and seek professional help. As for older adults, depression often goes under the radar. It's commonly misattributed to other health issues or seen as a normal part of aging, which it certainly is not. Older adults might express their depression through physical complaints like aches and pains rather than emotional symptoms. They might also experience memory problems, confusion, social withdrawal, or a lack of motivation. These are just a few examples. The reality is that depression can look different for everyone. It's influenced by a myriad of factors, from our culture and upbringing to our personal experiences and biological makeup. This underscores the importance of understanding and recognizing the many faces of depression. It's not always a one-size-fits-all scenario. Recognizing the unique ways in which depression can manifest in different individuals is a vital step towards offering effective help and support. So remember, whether you're a man or a woman, young or old, depression can affect you, but it might not look the same as it does in someone else. Understanding these differences can help us be more compassionate and effective in our support of those dealing with this pervasive mental health issue. Depression is a universal problem, but it can look different in different people. If you or someone you know is showing signs of depression, it's important to seek help. This is not just a piece of advice, but a call to action, an urgent plea. Depression is not a battle to be fought alone. The first step towards healing is recognizing the need for help and reaching out for it. So, where does one begin? Well, it's vital to consult with a healthcare professional. This could be your primary care doctor, a psychiatrist, or a psychologist. They are trained to understand the complexities of the human mind and can provide a proper diagnosis. Remember, self-diagnosis can lead to misinformation and confusion. Let the professionals do their job. Once diagnosed, the treatment plan can be discussed. This usually involves a combination of therapy and medication. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is a common form of therapy used. It helps challenge negative thought patterns and introduces coping strategies for dealing with life's stresses. Then, there's medication. Antidepressants work by balancing chemicals in your brain that affect mood and emotions. These medications aren't a quick fix, but they can make a significant difference in the long run. It's important to remember that everyone responds differently to medication, and it may take a bit of trial and error to find the right one for you. Support groups can also be a valuable resource. They provide a safe and supportive environment where individuals can share experiences and learn from others who are going through the same struggles. Remember, seeking help is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. It takes courage to admit that things are not okay, and even more to do something about it. There's no one-size-fits-all treatment for depression. It's about finding what works best for you, and that can take time and patience. But take heart, help is out there and recovery is possible. You're not alone in this fight. There's no shame in needing help. In fact, it's the bravest thing you can do. So take that first step towards healing. Reach out, seek help, and remember your mental health matters. Depression is a heavy topic, but there's hope. With understanding and action, we can fight it. The first step in this battle is spreading awareness. We need to shine a light on the reality of depression, breaking down the walls of misunderstanding and misinformation that have built up around it. Let's talk about it openly, honestly, and without judgment. The second step is reducing the stigma around mental health. For far too long, mental health has been shoved into the shadows, labeled as a sign of weakness or a character flaw. But it's not. It's a part of our health, just as important as our physical well-being. By spreading awareness and reducing stigma, we can create a world where those affected by depression feel safe and supported in seeking help. It's a big task, but it's one we can tackle together. Each conversation, each shared story, each act of kindness brings us one step closer. Together we can make a difference in the lives of those affected by depression. Depression is a serious issue, but with awareness and understanding, we can make a difference. It's crucial to remember that this invisible epidemic affects many, and it's not a sign of weakness, but a genuine health condition. It manifests in various forms and symptoms, and it's not restricted by age, gender, or social groups. We've explored how depression presents itself, the importance of recognizing these signs, and the courage required to seek help. Let's not forget, treatment is available and effective, and there's no shame in reaching out. The fight against depression starts with you and me. It starts with open conversations, empathy, and understanding. It starts with acknowledging that it's okay to not be okay and seeking help when needed. If you found this video helpful and informative, please like, subscribe, and share it with others. Together, we can fight depression.